What's going on, folks? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to be talking about some problems. I know, shocking. Stick around, let's get into it. All right, folks, well, welcome back to the Lawn Shark channel. So today we're going to talk about the back right here next to my parking pad. I've got a problem there, and I was trying to figure out what it is, and I figured it was one of three things. And the first thing that I thought that it was that maybe the lawn was going into dormancy. So we've got fescue all over the backyard, especially down on the bottom, and then back here. And I thought maybe it was just going into dormancy because it has been blazing hot. The temperature here for the last several days has been in the upper 90s. We're supposed to be in, I think today we were supposed to hit 100 or 99, and that's going to happen all the way through Wednesday. Today is Sunday, so we've got another 4 days of this. And so I figured, hey, with all this heat, we are probably going dormant, and so that's why it's turning brown. Well, I don't think that's what it is. So number two, maybe it's fungus, because if you guys remember last year, we put in a brand new sod lawn and it started browning up around this time. Actually, it started browning up a little bit earlier and I couldn't figure out what it was. Well, it was fungus last year. This year, I am pretty sure that it is not fungus. If you guys watched my video a couple weeks ago, we talked about fungus ad nauseum, and we know for sure that it is treated. And so I'm pretty sure that it is not fungus. Could it be? Yes. I doubt it though. So then the last thing that it could be, and this is what I really think it is that if you guys will remember in the spring when I said that it was looking a little bit thin over here, it was green, but it didn't look great. And so I thought maybe that it was just gonna, come back through. And sure enough, it did thicken up quite a bit and it was looking a lot better. But the problem was that, and something that I had mentioned was that maybe it was the fact that we didn't have very much fescue that had germinated in the fall. I'm pretty sure what happened was that all the green that we got back here was from the perennial ryegrass, and then none of the fescue really germinated, and that's why we had the thin blades. And I was pretty sure that that's what was going to happen, but I was hopeful that the perennial was going to make it this year just by having a little bit of a mild summer. Well, that isn't the case this year. We are absolutely scorching. And so what I think what it has done, it has killed all the perennial ryegrass. And so the only thing left is the little bit of fescue that may have germinated, and then the rest of the lawn looks great. And so if you look at it, you can see that all the way down at the bottom of the hill, we've got quite a bit of fescue, and it looks like it's struggling a little bit because it's hot. It's not reacting the same way as the rest of the yard where it's just dying. So I have a couple choices. I can do what I've done in the last several years, which is to go in there and try and do a late germination, which doesn't happen and it just dies off. So that is one option. And then the other option is to just forget about it and let it go. And that's exactly what I'm gonna be doing. There's nothing I can do right now. It is too hot to try and put down some new grass. I'm not even gonna try and put down sod back here. I'm just gonna wait until the fall and just go ahead and aerate, do a bunch of dethatching, and then reseed and do overseeding back here, and we'll be fine. And so most of my concentration for the rest of the summer will be in the front lawn where my Bermuda is thriving. And so when we look at the front yard, it actually looks great. So most of the stars from the 4th of July have pretty much faded at this point. And there's still a few in there where we had some of the dead spots where I put some of the stars in. But other than that, I mean, I think it's actually doing really, really well. We got a little bit of work to do on the other side of my driveway, which I took over this year. But we're gonna do some plugs and just kind of get things ready for the next season. But for the fall, for sure, we'll do perennial ryegrass in the front. And then in the fall, in the back, what I'm gonna do differently this year, so if we recap, 3 years ago, I did perennial ryegrass and it completely died off. 2 years ago, I did sod and it died off, not because of heat, but because of fungus. And then this past year, what I did was I did fungus and a perennial ryegrass mix, and I was just trying to hedge my bet that at least something would green up, and it worked, except for when we get in the middle of summer where everything just kind of dies off if it's just perennial ryegrass. So this year, we're gonna go all in on fescue, and that's all we're gonna do back there, and then we're gonna just deal with it from there. That's the plan, but that has to wait until fall. So we're gonna forget about the backyard for a little bit. I am gonna mow, and today, let's go out there and just mow the back, let's mow the front. I can give you a look at the overall lawn once it's mowed and clean up, and then you can see exactly where we are. But for now, we're just gonna kinda ignore-ish the back, keep watering the green that is there and try and salvage as much as we can, but I'm not gonna sweat it. It's just grass. I mean, it's painful that my backyard is not looking so great, but there's not a lot I can do, and I can sit there and just struggle through it, or I can just let it go and wait. I mean, we're what, 6-8 weeks away, and then we'll be fine. For now, let's get into some mowing, and then we'll come back and we'll take a look at it at the end. It is almost 6 o'clock and it's still 94 degrees. It is blazing hot, but we finished the front. Let me show you what it's looking like. So we still see a little bit of the stars, and that's okay. I kind of like the nostalgia of it, but they're fading fast, but the stripes are looking pretty good. So one of the things I wanted to talk about was the leveling of the lawn. So as you guys know, every year we do a little bit of a lawn leveling, and believe it or not, this year I'm not gonna add any more sand to this lawn. I think I could use some. I've got a couple of spots where it's a little bit low and a little bit high as well, and I could use a little bit of leveling, but I'm not gonna do it simply because I just don't want to. I mean, we've got so many projects going on right now, and I just think it's gonna be a lot of work. And not to mention the fact that I think the lawn looks pretty good. We raised the height of cut to about 5/8 of an inch, and I think that's a really good height right now. The other thing is that last year I did leveling in July, and it was just brutal. So one of my buddies, Michael from Dad Who Mows Best, he did his lawn leveling this year early on in the summer, and really it was late spring. And I think that that's really a much more brilliant, these bugs. I think it's a much more brilliant time to do it. So we're just gonna wait this year. We're not gonna do it this year, and we'll take care of it next year in the spring. Like I said, it doesn't look too bad. The leveling is pretty decent. A couple spots like right there where it gets gouged because it's not super level. And then of course, you can kind of see there's a hump there, which is where the old tree stump used to be. But other than that, it's not terrible. And then our spots where we killed the lawn with the T-zone is actually filling in pretty nicely. See lots of green right there next to that star. And then the other spot that was really bad is right there, and that's almost filled in completely. Now the strip of grass over here, I need to do something with that. I don't have irrigation on this side, and it's a mixed bag of a lot of different things. So I'm actually gonna be taking a lot of the plugs out of this lawn over here, out of this Bermuda. I'm gonna move them over there, try and get things going, and then of course we'll do the perennial ryegrass in the fall like we talked about. So that's the front. I think it looks pretty good. I'm not gonna do any more herbicide this year. I do have some stuff coming in that I may try if it gets bad, but for the most part, I'm controlling this side of my lawn with just hand pulling, and that's gonna be good enough. So let's go to back, let's go mow the disaster, and I'll show you one last look before we get to the fall back there. So that's what we're gonna do now, and just get to mowing. not good, as you can see. And one of the biggest problems that we have is not just that it's brown, but this is all moles. The moles have taken over this whole area all the way down into there. So, grub killer that we put down was good, and it removed some of their food supply. But as many of you have been quick to tell me, it is not their only food supply. They like worms, and with all the rain and everything else we've got lots and lots of worms, which is good for the soil, so we don't want to get rid of that. But we do have a bit of a mole problem. And we've got traps that we're putting out, and I'm gonna try and get them under control before we do any renovations in the fall. But for the most part, that's pretty much it. What you see is what you get. Now back here, which is, if you go back up there, that's where all the stuff is just terrible and all the perennial ryegrass is dead. But right here actually looks really good. I mean, we've got a mix of Bermuda back in there with the fescue, and then this is all fescue. And the fescue back here looks fabulous. Other than the moles that are about to break my ankles with their little trails, it looks pretty good. So the hope is that we can get something set up back here all along the entire backyard that looks just like this. It is going a little bit into dormancy just because it is really hot, but I'm trying to spritz it with water a couple times a day just to cool it down a little bit. But other than that, I mean, that's all I can do. Now, the other thing that's gonna happen here is this. So you see this branch right there is dead. It had fallen, and it's kind of, if you can see where it is, but it's kind of hanging there off another branch. So we've got a tree coming that's coming out in the next couple weeks, and they're gonna come in here and they're gonna trim back all the trees here behind me. And when they do, they're gonna actually tear this up quite a bit. So I'm not as disappointed with the grass turning brown because it is gonna get torn up. So there's not much I can do about that, and we would have to do a renovation anyway. It won't be like a massive renovation like we've done over the last 3 years. It's really just more of what we would typically do with some overseeding. Definitely do some aeration, definitely do some dethatching, and then we're just gonna overseed it and call it a day. But front looks great. We'll continue to deal with that and make sure that it's taken care of. And then the back, we'll just mow the little bit of green that we've got back here and just try and keep it in good shape for the fall. Anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video and have enjoyed seeing a little bit of my pain. It just is what it is. Every year it's always something, whether it's trees that are falling down or grass that's dying, or we're getting, oppressive heat where it's 98 degrees and up, then, it's always something. So, it's just part of home ownership and part of being a lawn care nut, if you will. And so anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. And if you did, I would really appreciate a like. If I've earned your subscription, I would appreciate you subscribing as well. And if you want to be notified of future videos, don't forget to hit that bell, and we will see you on the next one. Have a great week, everybody.